didn't act outside the Constitution and outside legislation for the reasons that I've given.
You don't get to see their hands on the desk when you're watching either on SABC or on the Parliament channel because of their ginormous logos all over the place. Don't even ask me about the Newsroom Africa center stage logo. But shout out to ENCA. Watch this next clip and pay close attention to Senzo Mchunu's hands. Okay? I'll be back with the rest of my commentary.
And that at the center of it, it was not the national commissioner who established this. He was directed to do it by a political intervention emanating from the president. And this is what I believe actually happened. Let me go on. And I believe that the decision to disband the PKT, as I've said, was for lawful reasons. It was not for unlawful reasons. Not at all. Well, I know that when General Mkhwana has made a statement, among other things, the accusation was that I disbanded this because I wanted to protect criminal syndicates. I want criminal syndicates. I want them. But not that I wanted to protect them. And I will say how I have demonstrated in the past that I want them. So it was for lawful reasons, not for unlawful reasons. And it didn't come from anyone else. It came from me as Minister of Police. And I have capacity to think to that level in my role. I may be wrong, I may be right, but the decision was not for unlawful reasons. As a matter of fact,
and there it is, ladies and gentlemen, the body language cue, the tightly held fist, because he is so enraged, and his hands only take up the fist position when he says the decision didn't come from anybody else. It came from, and then when he says me, that's when he has that tight fist, because that's how much he's so angry. He is so angry about all these accusations. He is so angry that he forgets that he was never the Minister of Education. He says, it came from me. The decision came from me as the Minister of Education. Damn. Minister of Police. But yeah, let me know if you notice that. So what happens is, especially if you're an emotional person, you speak a lot with your hands, which we saw that with Shadrach Sibia. Senzo Mchunu speaks with his hands, and he emphasizes and kind of reveals his true feelings with his body language, and most especially his hands. He was managing it well because he had a pen in his hand. But because this is such a passionate topic for him, he throws the pen down, and then he clashes his fist as he continues to explain to us that I want criminal syndicates, but not that I want to protect them. It was for lawful reasons, and it didn't come from anybody else, aka it didn't come from the president, who is not Morgan Maumela's uncle. He doesn't know him, but he walks past his house every day. As a president, he has no curiosity on who owns that property. He just minds his business. He really needs to lose weight. But anyway, I digress. It came from me. And then he wants to tell us how much so. Let's continue listening on.
I have nothing to do with criminal syndicates myself. I've never had anything to do with them in my life. Not once. And not Amber. Not Amber. It has never happened. And it will never happen. It will never happen. Well, accusation is another when I'm accused, but I know I'm being investigated. But I know that at the same time, statements have been made in this comment that I'm no criminal. General Mkhwana knows in his conscience that I'm not a criminal, that I have nothing to do with criminal syndicates. He knows. Now, let me go on. So it was not for criminal reasons. Now, I may as well add, the crimes that are being associated or lined up with the decision those activities on those alleged criminals took place long before General Mkhwanazi deployed 10 people there.
Master Mola tried to tell the nation that he was dealing with a very, very tough police minister. And this, ladies and gentlemen, for me is a demonstration of a dictator. And then he pulls the nation into confidence and says, General Mkhwanazi knows in his conscience. Okay, no, we cannot investigate consciences here. We cannot write down a statement about consciences, and there's no jurisdiction on a conscience. General Mkhwanazi knows in his conscience, I'm not a criminal. I have nothing to do with criminal syndicates and the crimes that are being lined up with this decision. And then he goes on. But basically, the point I want to get to is he pulls in General Mkhwanazi's name because, of course, he wants to gaslight everybody and then say, how could he say this about me? He knows me better than anybody. That is quite ironic. At the beginning, you told us, Mkhwanazi and you do not have a relationship like that. So how would Mkhwanazi know this? Let me attach that clip and you hear himself today, not 3 days ago, not in an interview. Today, he said, we don't know each other like that.
Did you get to know Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi during this period when you were MEC, when you were Premier?
No,
You didn't get to know him at all?
no, not at all.
Who would have been the Provincial Commissioner of Police when you were Premier?
At some point, there was Ngeti, at some point, General Ngeti. That was before. After I became Premier, I can't remember who it was, up until Mamunye. Yes, Mamunye, General Mamunye, Lieutenant General Mamunye, who got appointed more or less at that time when I was Premier.
Now, let's put the pieces of the puzzle together. Senzo Mchunu just literally just says, General Mkhwanazi knows in his conscience I'm not a criminal. But at the beginning of the day, he said, no, I don't know Mkhwanazi like that. And that's the clip I just played you. Even when he was MEC, they didn't know each other like that. They're not buddy-buddies, okay? And then we know from General Mkhwanazi when he was inside party within the ad hoc committee, he said he went to Mkhunu's house, I think for the first time in Pretoria, with Nkabinde. Remember Nkabinde? Yeah, the one who's afraid for his life, the chief of staff. Yes, him. So, and Mkhwanazi and Nkabinde were kind of chommies, okay? They were buddies through a friend of a friend, and then they started hanging out together. And Nkabinde says they partied together. So, do you see the difference? How is the police minister expecting Mkhwanazi to know in his conscience that he is not a criminal? Well, Mkhwanazi operates on investigations and facts and evidence and not on conscience, how he feels. But I'm going to end this video right here. Let me know your thoughts. Did you pick up the body language? What other body language cues did you notice from the special leave of absence police minister, Senzo Mchunu? Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on my next upload. Bye.